Yeah.
I'm with you. I understand that. I think also what you're looking at is this idea of 7 generations into the past and into the future. You're often looking at familial epigenetic inheritance going back many generations. So, for example, I don't know if you've come across family constellation, which is it was brought back to Europe by a missionary called Bert Hellinger from Germany, and he understood that all families have this system, like the energy of a family as a system, and that if the system is upset by trauma going back generations, let's say, for example, a mother loses a son in the First World War, and it's her favourite son, and all of her other sons survive, and so on. The fact that her favourite son dies leaves a deep wound in the family. Her favourite son and the youngest son wants to make the mother happy, and she can't, and all of a sudden the whole family system is disrupted. And that system passes on through the family and in very convoluted forms. So the youngest child will be carrying the grief of the mother because he always wanted to make her happy. And when he carries the grief in his life, he will be inexplicably depressed because he's carrying his mother's grief. And then his own children will be born into a system where there's still the ghost of his brother that died in the First World War. And those children won't know that where it comes from, but they'll be the youngest who picks up the same energy of the youngest, who turns out to be depressed. And everyone say, oh, she just takes after her father. No, she doesn't. She's suffering because the family system broke down because of trauma 3 generations ago.
And these things are taking advantage of it.
Exactly. And so this is where you find, you might have demonic entities attached to certain families, or this kind of dysfunctional family type thing, because trauma has upset the natural balance. These entities are able to feed off of that, and then that kind of just...
Exactly, and they can smell negative energy a mile away. I mean, it just pulls them in. They jump in there. They're like sharks smelling blood. They go, ooh, food, I smell blood. Here it is, and they bam, right in there, and then they pour gasoline on the fire. These guys are already unstable. They have an unstable family situation. Oh, this guy just insulted me, and then there's an attack here, and then an attack back, and while they're beating each other up, these things are more and more. They're not going to leave once they find something like that. So we're all being attacked by these things at different degrees, at different levels. You have to watch your thoughts and understand that your thoughts are not who you are, and that's what they manipulate. Guy just insulted me, and then there's an attack here, and then an attack back, and while they're beating each other up, these things are more and more. They're not going to leave once they find something like that. So we're all being attacked by these things at different degrees, at different levels. You have to watch your thoughts and understand that your thoughts are not who you are, and that's what they manipulate. They manipulate your thinking. They will throw in a thought that doesn't belong to you. Just like the fisherman thing that you were reading. They'll get a thought and they'll throw it in there, and it'll appear in your mind, and it'll be, okay, how does he react to that? Well, he didn't like that. That's good. Let's give him another one. But keep in mind, they have access to your entire memory. They can go in there and they can pull up all this crap. They know where your damage is. They see and they go, oh yeah, this one did this back then. Okay, oh yeah, if we put a link to that, all we need to do is push their button when something similar appears, and we get this flood of emotion, and then they feed on it.
And it's amazing, I think, as well, when you can catch them doing it and you realize what they're doing.
Like they did to me the other day.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, okay, I got you on that one, brother. But how many do I miss?
Yeah. One brief experience I had maybe 6 or 7 years ago was I had a very large lump in my breast, and it was growing, and it'd been there for some time. And eventually I really had to do something about it. And I don't trust doctors. I won't go near a doctor. And yet my partner in life at the time was a doctor. He was a medic. And he and I ended up arguing because he said, why don't you get it looked at? I said, because I don't trust you guys to know what you're doing. And he said, I can't believe you're saying this. And I said, well, I'm not. And he said, well, you've got to go do something about it. He was not a thoracic. He was a respiratory consultant. And he kind of, you know, he had a pretty astute idea of what was going on in the chest and the area around here. And I said, okay, I'm going to do something about it. So I sat down and I chanted. That's all I did. I changed my diet profoundly, and I sat and I chanted with all of the stuff that comes up from the fear of, you know, having cancer. So, you know, oh my God, I'm not going to see my daughter grow up. Oh my God, I'm going to die.
That's exactly what they wanted. That's exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
And had you kept concentrating on that, it's a good chance it might have turned cancerous.
Okay, so then I kept bringing it up. It could have been cancer. I don't know what it was. It could have easily been cancer. But all this stuff kept coming up, and I was watching it, and I was just scared. I could feel the fear of it, and I was also observing it. And I remember thinking, this is fascinating. This is amazing. I didn't know these things were there. I didn't know these fears were there. And eventually, you know, I boiled it down deeply to being a fear of just not being here anymore, fear of dying. And as I really sat with that deep fear of dying, it dawned on me that, you know, it was absolutely inevitable. I was going to die one day.
Yeah, I couldn't no survivors.
There's no survivors, you know. I wasn't going to get out alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, what am I afraid of then? What am I scared of? And then at that moment, the light went on, because I thought, let's get rid of it. Let's just dispel that, because there's nothing to worry about. I've got everything to live for. I can do anything. I've got this intense, incredible power of the universe at my fingertips. I just have to hook into this humanity that just wants to live and express itself. And within 2 months, that lump was completely gone. It just disappeared. It evaporated. And that was kind of like, to me, just a demonstration of how you have to sit with these fears, front them out, and just say, come on then, what are you really afraid of? What is really going on? What is actually going on? And if you can find that core awareness that it doesn't really matter what they say or do.
Well, you kind of need to come to, I think you need to come to a balance also. Sherry's like you. She will not, you couldn't drag her into a doctor's office with a bulldozer. She would not go. But with me, it was like a couple of weeks before my first Freeman interview,
yes.
You know, which was a biggie, because, you know, Freeman, you know, it's, and so he asked me to speak, and just a couple of weeks before, as you know, I was kind of putting all my material together, I was down in Mexico and feeling fine, you know, woke up one morning and my shoulder was just killing me. I couldn't move my arm at all. Mm-hmm. And the fellow I was with, I said, hey, this is getting worse. It's not getting any better. It came on very suddenly. I didn't know what was happening. I hadn't injured it. There wasn't any damage that, you know, getting worse and worse. Finally, I told him I have to go back. I'm not going into a Mexican hospital. I have to go back. So got back there and went to the ER and ended up in surgery that next day. You know, it was some kind of staph infection of all things that had taken over that shoulder and just exploded and knocked me totally out. And they had to operate, and they did something that was just, they tore the crap out of that shoulder, and it was like 3 months of physical therapy before I could even use that arm again. And I asked the surgeon, I said, what's with that? I didn't feel anything with it coming on. You know, usually there's a lead up, you start feeling some aches or pains, and it was just all of a sudden, just bam, like that, just right before the Freeman interview. And it knocked me out for 3 solid months. It took all my energy to recover this painful physical therapy that was just agonizing. And I know in my gut that was them trying to knock that interview out. But Freeman waited those 3 months. And I told him, I said, I don't have enough energy to do an interview now. I'm going to look like a friggin' rag. And he waited and came in. I am virtually certain that they did that. And that if I did not go to a doctor, I could not have coped with it on my own. And it would have killed me. And they told me that. And I asked them, how common is that for this particular thing to happen so suddenly? And they said, very uncommon.
Intriguing. Yeah. We call them in Buddhism, we call them Sancho Shima. They're the devilish forces of the universe that stop you doing things.
Oh, yeah.
We often say when you're about to create great positivity and great value, that these things will attack you, and they're called Sancho Shima. And we expect them. We know they're happening. And it's funny how in Buddhism we just accept this. Do you know what I mean? We don't, I've practiced 35 years, we just accept that the moment you'd start to do something really super positive and valuable, they're going to attack you where you're weak.
Oh, I'm feeling that all the time because I've been working on a book since 2014, and the resistance that I'm getting to sit down and writing is just incredible. It's almost like, hey, well, this needs to be done and that needs to be done. You got to do that and you got to pray then and then a million other things to do beside write.
Yeah, I totally get that. And this is the Sancho Shima. These are the devilish forces that we understand of the universe. And the way we try and front it out as a Buddhist is we just try and chant the best outcome, chant to break through it, because they can only attach to you where you are already damaged. They can't attach to you where there's no history of hesitation or trauma or whatever else there is. They can only attach where you're weak. And so
they have to have the right to be there, and that right is the damage that you're not dealing with.
Exactly. So, that part of the tenacity is just to no matter what, keep persevering. Not necessarily with the writing. I have the same issue with my writing. I've written 3 books. They're available online, and they were easy. They just came off the pen. But can I write another one? I'm really finding it challenging. I've written 35,000 words of a novel or a book about my personal experience through schizophrenia. Can I finish it? I cannot get to finish it. Yeah,
that's the same thing I'm facing here too. I mean, it's just like, and Sherry's on me all the time. You got to finish this. You got to, because she's been editing it. Yeah. And it's like pulling lead weights. I have to make myself sit down and do it. Yeah.
And
so there's a lot of resistance to. So it's so much easier to sit down with people like you. And make these things, and then the information gets out. And spread it as far as you can. I'm running out of time here. I have an appointment.
Sure. It's getting very late, isn't it? Can you just give me a really quick synopsis of the ideal situation to help people recover from schizophrenia? What would, if they're in a perfect world, what would we do?
Well, it would be a patient who is hearing voices, knows they are not who he is, knows that they are taking his energy and being parasites with it, that they've gotten him into a whole lot of trouble, the whole time he's been hearing them, that virtually everything they're telling him are lies, and not to believe what they're saying. So that's where Sherry's That's a Lie program comes in. What happens with that program is they feed you a lie, and if you buy into it, it's almost like the fishhook thing. They throw in that hook, it's a lie, it's going to cause a lot of trouble if you bite and generate a lot of emotional energy. It's just not, don't take the bait. So when you go, that's a lie, that's a lie.
What would treatment services look like? How would we treat people?
Oh boy, you're getting into here like a big area with
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go, and that's the first thing.
Why don't we save that for another time?
They have to realize that those voices are not who they are.
Okay.
There's something different. Like I said, the ones who think that believe what psychiatry says, they're the least likely to recover from this. They're the most likely to come out of a damage. So they have to understand that their voices are not, they're separate from who they are. And the voices will do everything possible to make that person think that those thoughts are his. They belong to him, and that your thoughts are who you are. No, Both of those are lies. Matter of fact, most of the human race believes that their thoughts are who they are, because they don't know who they'd be if they weren't thinking.
Okay,
So
Joe.
Eckhart Tolle, it cuts right to the chase of it. You knock out the friggin' thinking, stay in the present, and then they have nothing that they can grab onto, because you're just present. You can't live in the past, you can't live in the future, and these things are trying to constantly get you to live in both of those places and pull in the most rotten stuff that they can and pour gasoline on it, and then they suck off the negative emotion that's generated. They are negative and energetic parasites.
Amazing. So, okay, so we're going to close now then. Just tell us how we can get hold of you. What is it you want from people to support you? Where do we find you? Is there a Facebook page or?
Well, you got Sherry has a website called keyholejourney.com, where she's dedicated one part of that site under the paranormal section to videos and letters that we get, and she answers some of them. So Sherry, like you, has been an experiencer, but she remembers the battle she had with the voices. They didn't just carry her off. She fought kicking and screaming all the way until finally she did it. So it's keyholejourney.com. Under the paranormal section, you'll see articles and videos. So that's one of the biggest collections. The other site is my Facebook site, which is the presence of other worlds and schizophrenia. That they can reach me there. I've met a lot of interesting people over that site.
Okay, well, I'll put the references in the links below so they can go through to you. And there's a couple of other links I'll put through as well. So there's a Hearing Voices forum on Facebook and various other links that I can pull up. And for the time being, Jerry, I think I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining me. And for sharing everything that you've been through and all the technical glitches that we've had to try and get this thing moving. It's incredible. Incredible. They seem to follow you around, or me perhaps. But yeah, no, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. And let's catch up again another time.
Okay, well, get responses from your viewers and think about this stuff, and then we can meet again sometime. Get this information out. The medical mafia is not going to like this. And
maybe I can help you with your book, and you can help me with mine.
Oh, that'd be great.
Let's do it. Okay, that's amazing. So, yeah, I'll catch up with you soon, Joe.
Okay, send us whatever you come up with, and we'll post it on Sherry's site also.
I will do. Yeah, I'll send you the links. Yeah.
Cheers. All right, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
And you. Cheers. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.